Greetings, everyone. This is Gail Macinda with History Quick, and today I want to tell you a little bit about one of our episodes called Louis Prang and Christmas Cards in America. This is one of the adventure packs that we have here on History Quick. I think you're going to enjoy this one a lot. You may not know a lot about Louis Prang, but that's the whole purpose of this, is to help us understand who this man was. He was really pretty interesting guy. There's a lot of things to do in this particular unit. I give you a checklist here of all the different things that we have, just so we can kind of keep track of what we are. We begin with a 4-page biography about him. So it's illustrated, so you've got some pictures along the way to tell you who he was and what he did and where he lived and when he lived and some of his accomplishments, just kind of a basic outline. And then we have some newspaper clippings. I love newspaper clippings. I like them especially because they give us an idea of what was being said about a person or event at the actual time that these things were happening in history. So we're not looking back and forming our opinions. We're reading about the opinions of the people who were contemporary to that event. And so we have 3 pages of them here. These are reproductions of actual newspaper clippings that have to do with the life and times of Louis Prang. And then also we have a worksheet that you can do for these newspaper clippings, kind of an analysis. You can do as many or a few of them as you feel like you want to do. Now, after you've read the biography and after you've read these newspaper clippings, you'll have a much better sense of who this guy was and all that he accomplished. And hopefully then you'll be able to fill out a notebooking page just about the biography of Louis Prang. Well, among his many accomplishments, he was also an author. He wrote many books of curriculum. In addition to being the father of the American Christmas card, he was also the father of art education in the American public school system. And he wrote a lot of books on instruction. As time went on, in addition to writing these books, he also began to develop materials that could be used safely by kids in school, that were really developed for children, because the art supplies up to that point really were not what you would call child safe. So he made sure that everything that he created was of high quality. And he really believed firmly that everybody should have the opportunity to have a good, strong art education. So in these books, one of the things that we have, these are free books that you can download. You can look at them online, or you can download a PDF, whichever you want. This one is a catalog of his art supplies. It's just interesting to see what he had, what he made. And it seems like crayons and colored pencils, and they still make a lot of wonderful Prang products today. Now they have markers and all sorts of things like that they didn't have back in Louis Prang's day. But still, it's fun to go back and see what they had and what he felt was really most important. And then here we have one of his textbooks, which is on use of color. This is significant because we'll talk about color a little bit later, but this is one of those books. There's a whole series of art instruction that you can get of Louis Prang books if you'd like to do those, like first grade, second grade, third grade, on up through there. They're easily available. And then we also have a catalog of works that he purchased and acquired that he was going to reproduce into greeting cards, Easter cards, Christmas cards, those kinds of things. And then every once in a while, he would have all of these works and they would auction them off. And so that is actually the catalog from one of the auctions that they held of the Louis Prang collected works. Well, I mentioned a little bit about how in his education curriculum, how he wanted to make sure that everybody understood how to use color. His big thing, he really understood color and the significance of it. So he developed something. You've seen this. I know that I know you've seen a color wheel before. Well, Louis Prang is the one who really popularized and simplified it to just these 6 basic colors. There's a lot of other color wheels that are much more elaborate, but this was the one he developed in order to teach elementary kids. So this is kind of the introduction to the color wheel. And it really is called the Prang color wheel. We usually don't call it that, or the color theory, or a color system. But Prang is the one who really started it and used it in education. So we have some pages on that, on the color wheel, and how it's used, and a work page to go along with it. And then I made a video interview of a fiber artist who is really well known for her use of color. And I've included a link for that video is here too. So you'll be able to find that easily. And then after you have watched that and done your color studies, you'll be able to answer some questions. The color study pages, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, where you are to color things in a very specific way, in a specific patterns. And see how and kind of analyze them and draw some conclusions and some opinions of those. So it's not just a matter of just doing it. Make sure you understand why you're doing this and why does it affect you the way that you do. That's very significant. Now, we mentioned about Louis Prang being the father of the American Christmas card, so I guess we need to make some Christmas cards along the way too. So here we go. I have 10 of them in here for you. There's 10 of these. I already folded these, so pardon, yours are going to have to fold yours on your own, but the video will show you how, not a problem. There's 5 of them that are in this tall portrait format, and there's 5 of them that are landscape. There are no two alike. There are 10 different images. All of these are images that were originally produced by Louis Prang. And that's the idea behind that, is that we are really kind of going back to those roots. And you also will have a page of greetings so that you can customize the cards any way you want. If you're not real sure what to say, this will get you started on that. And then sometimes you just want that little extra something to put on your card. And so we have a video interview with Becky Saylor, who's going to show us how to do some doodles on our Christmas cards. And so that page is in there too. This is the instruction page on how to do your Christmas cards. And then at the end of all of that, I have linked some additional videos that I think you'll find interesting or helpful just to expand your study. The thing about these History Quick units, they are really kind of one-room schoolhouse in a lot of ways. They're basically geared towards middle school, but a lot of times kids a lot younger and a lot older can also benefit from them. So if you have a wide range of students that you're working with, or you just have students of different abilities or different interests, you can really cater these to whatever the needs of the individual are. And I will tell you, even as adults, these things are really interesting and popular and fun to do. So then there's just a couple extra pages that go along with everything. Okay, so now a little bit about, so who's Louis Prang? Why do I want to do this? When I was finding these newspaper articles, I found one that I didn't have room to include in the adventure pack, but I thought I just would read this one to you now. This one was written by Alfred Trumbull in New York, and it was reprinted in the Springfield Daily Register in Springfield, Ohio on January 18th, 1887. So in 1887, here is what the newspapers shared. I quite often encounter in the street the father of the American Christmas card. Mr. Louis Prang divides his time pretty equally between Boston and New York. He is a hale and energetic elderly gentleman whose busy brain is constantly conceiving new ideas full of credit and profit to their originator. In 1860, he was a small lithographer in Boston. He had an establishment that did not earn a living for him. He had no capital but his intelligence, and that made his fortune. When the war broke out, now they're talking about the Civil War here, okay? When the war broke out, he published a map of the opening of the campaign, and it sold as fast as he could print it. He got a great deal of money on war maps and got into chromolithography as his means improved. When dull times came, instead of discharging his artists and printers, he made them work on novelties for which he made a market. The first chromos of any value published in America came from his press. They reproduced pictures by famous artists. He risked thousands in those ventures, and though he suffered heavy losses, his gains were proportionately great. He grew with the time. He improved lithography in every direction and is today the master in that art of the whole world. So he was really a marvelous artist. He was an entrepreneur. He was creative. And when you read his obituary, you will learn some of the different groups that he was involved with. He was a strong believer in women's rights. He hired women artists at a time when that was kind of an unusual thing, and had them as teachers, and just really did a lot of marvelous good works. He was an all right guy. So I hope that you will consider taking a look at our adventure pack on Louis Prang. I'll put the link down below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and like and share and all of those Facebook and YouTube things that we'd like for you guys to do. Thanks so much, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.